Mexico has been in the news a lot recently.
When it comes to the US-Mexico relationship, a single issue has dominated in recent years.
The southern US border with Mexico, along a roadway in southern Mexico.
And it hasn't exactly been good press.
An invasion at the southern border.
Growing emergency unfolding at the southern border.
Growing crisis at our southern border.
The crisis on the border with Mexico.
Worst migrant crisis.
Growing crisis at the US-Mexico border.
For several years now, hundreds of thousands of immigrants have been pouring into the United States through Mexico.
What's really happening with this caravan?
Not very long ago, this caused a lot of people to say,
"Build that wall, build that wall, build that wall, build that wall."
But like every story, this story has two sides. While droves of people from all different countries are flooding into the United States from Mexico, there's another group of people flowing in the opposite direction.
Perhaps not the border crossing you expected.
Americans.
A growing number of Americans are crossing the southern border and making Mexico City their new home.
Lately, more Americans have been choosing Mexico, including Mexico City.
I live in New York City, where I met my girlfriend, Sophia. She lives in Mexico City. I traveled there to visit her, and while I was there, I tried to answer one simple question. Why is everyone moving to Mexico City? Hi guys, this is the neighborhood of La Condesa in Mexico City. I'm here with my beautiful girlfriend, Sophia. She lives here, and this has become like one of the most sought after neighborhoods in Mexico City for expats and people living abroad. We're out here walking Sophie's dogs, Sorella and Milo. This neighborhood is really cool. I mean, it's my first time ever being here, but I can see why people want to move here and why it's trendy. There's lots of like cafes, lots of restaurants, people out and about, riding their bikes, walking their dogs. And it's not too far from the center of the city, right? So it's actually even become like a little bit of a problem here that there are so many foreigners moving here because through the pandemic, everyone was working from home. And a lot of people decided to move to Mexico City because it's cheaper, delicious food, a lot of advantages for less money, a better bang for your buck than living in the United States. And so that has caused a lot of gentrification in this neighborhood where the people who are from here can't afford to live here anymore. So we're just gonna walk around and explore, get some bread or some coffee and explore that topic a little bit. So let's go.
Milo, te voy a cobrar,
Para llevar.
Okay, I know it's pretty cringe that I'm drinking cow milk in this day and age, but that's all they had.
You said you wanted whole milk? Why?
now we're in Parque Mexico, which is like a pretty big park here in central Mexico City near La Condesa. I always say that wrong. But we dropped off the dogs at home and we went and got some coffee. Although we basically already finished them because literally this park is so full. We found a bench here and every single bench was full of people. And some of them were like just one single person and it was like, do we just ask them to sit next to them or do we just keep looking? Finally, we found one bench that was free. So here we are. So we finished our coffees. I got this coffee from Teotihuacan. I don't know, it's like a local cafe. And of course, Sophie got her Starbucks, which she already finished. But I think that sort of like perfectly wraps up the theme of the video, right? Which is how gringos or foreigners are coming to Mexico City and sort of like taking over, not taking over, but like occupying spaces that would otherwise be used by people who were born here, who have lived there the whole life. So that's why I support Mexican cafes and get coffee from Mexican cafes. But I guess, you know, they're not with the times yet. They don't have oat milk.
This is what you want right here, whole milk. You want this inside of your whole body? That's a whole mistake, dude. You know oat milk exists.
And Sophie loves oat milk. So is gentrification really that bad of a thing? Because now you have Starbucks with oat milk.
But I think that it's more than that, you know? It's not just like the small business. I think it's more than the price start like growing up. So then the people that lives here can pay that price because they don't have that much money. Due to increased demand and people who are able to pay those higher prices. Yeah. And then the people who aren't able to pay those higher prices, the locals sort of get left behind. It's tough, but would you say that there are any advantages to wealthier people coming in and moving into this area? Yeah, so they say that now it's more easier for the people to just take a walk and stay outside in the night and feel safe. But I'm not sure about that because I just feel the same way. And do you think that it raises the standard of life in everything? The people that are taking advantage about these changes feel like, oh, that's a good thing for Mexico. But still the people that can't live that or can't pay that kind of prices feel that this is not good for us. Right. We decided to get out of the city. So we drove about 3 hours to Sophie's family's house in the state of Querétaro. Querétaro is known for its bio and geographical diversity and its pueblos mágicos, or magic villages. These are little rural towns in the Mexican countryside where you can dive deep into real Mexican culture, if Mexico City isn't Mexican enough for you. We visited the towns of San Miguel de Allende and Bernal, both not a far drive from Querétaro's capital city. The small town of Bernal is kind of hard to miss thanks to the massive rock of its namesake, Peña de Bernal, listed as the third largest monolith in the world. San Miguel de Allende, located in the state of Guanajuato, is a quaint Mexican village with a beautiful red stone church and mariachi in the park, as well as many old-school restaurants and trendy bars. Pueblos Mágicos is just a term coined by some tourism board to draw tourists to these small towns, but I have to admit, they do have a bit of a magical quality about them. It's a sort of warm charm that encompasses all of Mexico, and a far cry from what you see and hear in the media. I want to show you guys something. These are the suburbs where we were staying. I was surprised by how idyllic and, well, suburbial they are. While most of what we hear about Mexico has to do with people immigrating out of it in search of a better life,
as long as this country offers everyone a better life, there's gonna be people clamoring to get in.
That doesn't mean that it isn't possible to live a good life in Mexico.
Sir? Aren't them Mexicans running into Mexico?
this is the side of Mexico you don't see on TV.
This is no place for Isabella to raise a family.
Tratando de negocios bajo mis narices, sin pedirme permiso mío.
A week of attacks across Mexico.
Mexico has been on the rise since the signing of the North American Free Trade Agreement enacted in 1994. NAFTA opened up tariff-free trade between the US, Mexico, and Canada. That allowed for Mexico to solidify itself as a democratic state and USA's second biggest trading partner behind Canada, which created an opportunity for Mexico's middle class to grow. Mexican GDP is ranked 15th in the world, bigger than the Netherlands, Indonesia, and Turkey. And it's growing. Mexico's economy is projected to be in the top 10 in the world by 2050. So Mexico has come a long way and is projected to keep going. But it is still plagued by government corruption and cartel violence, which has kept Mexico from reaching its potential. That's why Mexico is still a long way away from competing with its neighbor to the north, and the American dollar goes so much further in Mexico. But open trade with the US and Canada and its position as a growing economy places Mexico in a sort of Goldilocks zone, where Americans living abroad can have access to all of their favorite commodities and comforts at a fraction of the price. And at a time when it's getting harder and harder for Americans to get by due to inflation,
inflation,
and a housing crisis, and the recent availability of remote work opportunities, coupled with Mexico's open borders for American tourists, it makes perfect sense that many would seek greener pastures in Mexico. So to be honest, I completely get it, why people would want to live here in Mexico City. As somebody coming from New York, I live in New York right now, the lower rent prices, the food prices, the tranquility of it all, like the open green spaces, it's all very appealing. And honestly, I think Mexico City overall is completely underrated as, I'm gonna take my mask off.
Yeah.
I think it's completely underrated as a tourist destination, because if you like city vacations, Mexico City has everything that you could want. Usually people think of, you know, their trips to Europe, they want to see Paris, they want to see London, they want to see Rome, or in the United States, they want to see San Francisco, they want to see New York. And I feel like Mexico City gets looked over a lot. But Mexico City really has it all. It's got great public transportation, although it may be dirty or dangerous. That we haven't gone on it, so I can't comment to that. But it has public transportation. You can get from A to B. It has architecture, it has museums, it has open green spaces where people live. It's not just, you know, going to and from work or just to do exercise. People actually lounge and spend their afternoons in the parks here. We saw that today when we couldn't find a spot in the park we went to. For me personally, I love old archaeological sites, and an hour outside of Mexico City is Teotihuacan, which has the great pyramids of the Mayans. And if you like art museums, there's Bellas Artes, where we are near right now. There it is in the background. So I completely understand why people would want to move here to Mexico City. We came to the historic center of Mexico City just to explore and to film a little bit. Piece of advice, if you're gonna come to the historic center, please, please, please do not drive your own car. Take a taxi or public transportation, because we were literally
1 hour.
An hour, probably more, like an hour and a half in traffic. Like we arrived to the historic center, but we were just trying to find parking, and we were just sitting there in traffic, sucking up exhaust fumes. So if you want to avoid that, and you also want to avoid, if you're with a partner and you want to avoid any discussions or conversations that come up due to anger, just take a taxi, take a bus, take the subway, make it fast, don't worry about parking.
Yeah, and easier.
and easier. So speaking of hunger, I think we're gonna go try to get some dinner.
Yeah.
Let's go. Corn, cheese, mayonnaise, and it was like cooked on a grill. Sophie tells me that I paid too much for it. It was 40 pesos, so that's like $2. But I guess I look really gringo. And like they say, you shouldn't eat in the street in certain countries because in Mexico they call it Moctezuma's revenge. But I'm gonna try it and we'll see what happens. I have a flight at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so I'm just gonna pray that Moctezuma likes me and doesn't seek out revenge on me. It's muy picoso, como, wow. It's like a lot of lemon and salt, but it's also creamy from the mayonnaise and cheese. And kind of chewy because the corn, I mean, it's delicious, honestly. I wouldn't eat like more than this amount right here. I feel like with this, you're good, but that's good. Don't worry, I didn't lose my drone, but that was a close call. The answer to this video's question is really a simple one. The American dollar goes further in Mexico. That's why people are moving there. But what I was really trying to understand are the cultural nuances and greater external influences driving this decision. While Mexico City offers a work-from-home paradise for some, as the most populous city in North America, it's not a paradise for the majority. It's just home. My goal with this video is not to condemn or criticize the people who are moving to Mexico City. I mean, who knows? I may become one of them. But I did want to shine a light on this trend and give my take on it. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it and want to see more videos like this one, consider subscribing and clicking the like button. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of my take on this story, what I got right and what I got wrong. If you want to see what it was like to live in Spain, check out this video. If you want to see what else Sophie and I did during my trip to Mexico, check out this one. And as always, until the next one, give travel. Bye guys.